in one of those spots where just like for sure he's got those 2 cards.
5 of diamonds!
The biggest scandal in World Series of Poker history is here.
The roommate of a past world champion.
And Daniel Negreanu is sounding the alarm. Jonathan Tamayo's $10 million win is under fire, and AI software is at the center of it all. Watch as we dive into Daniel's bold takes.
Is the tools available today coming from AI?
And the controversy shaking the poker world to its core. As Daniel Negreanu continues to address the fallout from the Jonathan Tamayo scandal, his stance becomes increasingly clear. Daniel has been vocal across various platforms, sharing his thoughts on the ethical lines that were crossed during the 2024 World Series of Poker. His insights are not just important because of his status as a poker legend, but because they offer a critical view on how players are expected to uphold the integrity of the game, especially in the face of emerging AI technology. One particular tweet from Daniel perfectly encapsulates his frustration. He points out the clear distinction between online and live play, addressing the misuse of software tools in a way that suggests even though Tamayo may not have explicitly broken a written rule, the spirit of the game was undeniably violated. Negreanu calls into question the responsibility of the player to ensure they're following ethical guidelines, emphasizing that no one should have to wonder if their actions were fair. His message is a reminder that staying within the bounds of integrity is vital, even when rules may seem ambiguous. Let's take a closer look at that tweet and explore how Daniel breaks down the core issues in this debate. You know it is prohibited to use these tools online, correct? You know this. So why would you think it would be totally kosher to use them live? Did you not think it worthwhile to ensure you were not doing anything nefarious by asking the floor for approval? Announcements were made all summer long. Deep down, you knew what you did was completely outside the spirit of the game, gray and shady at best, even if the written rules weren't explicitly clear. I see you are committed to dying on this hill, but the backlash for this decision is warranted and consistent among pretty much everyone. What you did was wrong. Negreanu's frustration is evident. He's calling out Tamayo for using tools that are illegal online and questioning why Tamayo thought it would be acceptable to use them live. He goes further, emphasizing that Tamayo should have clarified with tournament officials beforehand, suggesting that even if it wasn't explicitly written, deep down, Tamayo knew what he did was wrong. But things intensify as Daniel gets into an exchange on Twitter with Dominik Nitsche. Dominik says, "Daniel, I have made a commitment to a friend and his family that I do whatever I can to help him win within the official rules. I was fully aware that a lot of people wouldn't like me afterwards." To which Daniel responds, "Lots of ways to help a friend without doing something that is both wrong and a stain on our game." But Negreanu didn't just stop at calling out Tamayo. He quickly found himself in a heated Twitter exchange with another poker pro, Dominik Nitsche. Nitsche, known for his strong opinions on poker strategy and the role of technology, came to Tamayo's defense, arguing that AI tools are simply part of the game's evolution. This clash between two high-profile players ignited a firestorm on social media, with Negreanu fiercely defending the integrity of the game and insisting that Tamayo's use of software crossed the line into cheating. The back and forth with Nitsche only fueled the controversy further, as both players drew clear lines in the sand about what should and shouldn't be allowed in competitive poker. Daniel tweeted, "You accused him of using RTA during his win and claimed first-hand knowledge. That is a big deal. The correct response is, sorry, I was wrong to say that." Dominik responds, "You are an absolute moron, Daniel. You have no idea what RTA is." These two clearly don't get along, with Dominik calling Daniel an absolute moron in the tweet. This kind of personal attack wasn't just a one-off comment. It highlights a deeper rift between them. Dominik, often outspoken in his views on technology's role in poker, clearly sees Daniel's stance as outdated and overly dramatic. On the other hand, Daniel's firm belief in protecting the game's integrity fuels his frustration with Dominik's dismissive attitude. The tension between them isn't just about the Tamayo incident, it's a clash of ideologies, with both pros standing standing on opposite sides of a growing divide in the poker community. Negreanu's tweets show his commitment to protecting the integrity of the game. His tone is direct, accusing Tamayo of acting in bad faith and painting the situation as suspect at best. Daniel's reaction is one that echoes throughout the poker world. This scandal is not just about one event, but about maintaining the spirit and fairness of the game in a time where technology is making lines blur. It's a bold stance from one of poker's most respected voices, and it's clear that Negreanu believes Tamayo crossed the line. Daniel's critiques don't stop at Twitter either. The drama escalates even further as Daniel joins a podcast with Doug Polk and Alan Keating. Daniel Negreanu isn't holding back as he goes on the record to assert that Jonathan Tamayo broke the rules for the 2024 World Series of Poker. Negreanu lays it all out, leaving no room for interpretation. He firmly believes that Tamayo's victory was achieved through illicit means, using software to gain an unfair advantage.
I'm shocked, frankly. If I was there and I heard any rumor of this, I would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's new now that didn't exist for the last decade is the tools available today coming from AI, solvers, and this sort of thing. So I think I think in part, it's probably a good thing this happened on the biggest stage, because now it's a conversation we all have to have and go, okay, bro, is this the direction we're going in?
As we've seen, Daniel Negreanu isn't staying silent on the Jonathan Tamayo scandal. He's actively speaking out to protect the integrity of poker. With AI software creeping into the game, Daniel's perspective highlights just how serious this issue could become for the future of competitive poker. While the controversy around Tamayo continues to unfold, one thing is certain: voices like Daniel's are essential in shaping the conversation and ensuring the game remains fair for everyone. Daniel does his best to try to define where the line is between using AI solvers to outright cheat like Jonathan Tamayo versus more traditional forms of note-taking on players and their tendencies.
Essentially, there are varying degrees of RTA, right? There's the massive extreme version where you're literally playing and you have a solve in real time telling you what to do. Like, that's the most egregious version. You know, the softer version is before the cards are dealt, you're looking at a chart, so you're prepared to do that, right? You know what you're going to do. Now, they're both RTA. They're going to help you in real time. One is very egregious, one is minimal. As far as I'm concerned, the line should be drawn at, like, first of all, any use of solvers or AI in the tournament area should not be allowed by the player or, getting relayed by anybody else. Obviously, you can't reference. The one that's interesting to me is, like, what if a guy just has a piece of paper with notes on it? Like, can he or can he not, before the hand, look at that? Because listen, when I play poker, I have a notebook in my phone of different players' tendencies and tells and things like that. And like, I'll say, oh, okay, I'm playing with this guy today, and I'm gonna look at that. Like, I don't know, like, I think
Daniel argues that while analyzing players and their past tendencies is a crucial part of modern poker strategy, however, there's a stark difference between employing legitimate tactics and relying on sophisticated software to gain an unfair advantage. Traditional note-taking allows players to develop skills and insights over time, fostering a deeper understanding of the game. In contrast, using AI solvers to dictate decisions undermines the spirit of competition and skill that poker embodies. This distinction raises critical questions about the evolving landscape of poker strategy and the ethical implications of technology in a game built on human intuition and psychology. And Daniel seems ready to take these tough questions head on. Daniel goes on to say that claiming you didn't understand the rules doesn't mean you didn't break them.
They're doing is wrong. But I think in a case like this is where you have to really sort of, get clarity. And saying like, well, I didn't hear the announcements. That's not like, that doesn't absolve you, right? Not knowing the law doesn't absolve you.
It's clear Daniel is not leaving any room for excuses. It's a direct shot at Tamayo's defense, implying that ignorance isn't a valid argument when it comes to crossing the line. Negreanu's frustration is palpable, and his words highlight just how seriously he views this violation. Whether intentional or not, breaking the rules is breaking the rules in his eyes. But let's hear from the true victim of the scandal, the runner-up. Jordan Griff, who placed second in the World Series of Poker main event, taking home $4 million less than Jonathan Tamayo. Griff's disappointment is obvious, as he believes that if the allegations are true, he may have been robbed of his chance at poker immortality. What a humble guy.
I don't know how things would have been different if they weren't using the solver, but it's even just sad that this is what the story out of the main event is, right? It should be positive stuff. It should be great stories about people making these deep runs and coming into money and trying to be ambassadors for the game. And here we are talking about someone who's trying to take every little edge they can. And
Jordan's biggest concern wasn't even about losing the massive prize. It was about the integrity of the game and the legacy of the World Series of Poker main event. He expressed genuine disappointment that this scandal is overshadowing the incredible stories and accomplishments that come out of the tournament each year. Rather than celebrating Jonathan Tamayo as an inspiration to future players, we're now stuck talking about AI and a cheating scandal. Doug Polk pressed even further and didn't shy away from the tough questions as he goes on to ask whether Jordan plans to seek legal action, not just against Jonathan Tamayo, but against the Horseshoe Las Vegas, or even the World Series of Poker itself. With so much on the line, including millions of dollars, it's a question many are wondering. Will Jordan take this fight to the courts to seek justice for what could have been the biggest win of his career?
So once you have had that time, if there was a case, would you consider filing a suit?
I would say it's always a possibility, but I'm not.
That response from
sure
Jordan feels like something rehearsed, like he was coached on exactly what to say. But what do some of the biggest names in poker think about all this? Let's dive into what legendary pros Daniel Negreanu and Alan Keating have to say. Their insights on the scandal might just give us a better sense of how the poker community is truly reacting to this controversy.
WSOP rules it's unclear. It's not in the written rules, really. There's a slight thing that I think is really weak. People are bringing up. But we have the intercom announcement, which is certainly something. But Nevada gaming rules, I would say it's pretty clearly against. And if you're going to go the legal action route, that is, I think, what really matters. So I don't know. Would you guys pursue legal action here? I guess like in your shoes, neither one of you are going to do that with your brands or if you're well known, but should the people at the table, should someone like Griff, where they feel like, they did their best and they didn't realize this guy's running sims on the rail, should they pursue legal action if they feel like their opponent was using something unfair to have an advantage against them?
I think from a financial perspective, it's minus EV overall. You're going to have to spend a bunch of money on lawyers. It's going to be very difficult to prove how much was gained from this process. And most juries and most courtrooms are not going to have any understanding of this.
Daniel raises an excellent point. Most casual poker players may not fully grasp the implications of using AI to cheat in the game, let alone people who have never played. This lack of understanding could complicate the potential for legal action, as proving the nuances of the cheating, especially in a court of law, might be more challenging than it seems. It highlights the complexity of the situation, where the broader audience might not appreciate just how serious this breach of integrity really is, potentially hindering any legal recourse Jordan could pursue.
So the odds of you actually getting anything of substance past your legal fees is, unlikely. So I wouldn't. I guess nobody knew. Then nobody knew at the table. Then the floor didn't know. Nobody knew. It just sort of there's not much you can do there.
Yeah, but the law is clear in the Nevada gaming that this is against. There's no ambiguity. This is not allowed. So. But a court and a jury or a judge or whoever it might be, they're not going to be able to really discern that, right? And I'm sure there are lawyers that would take it on for win only.
Right. And then how far does it extend? I played the tournament, you played the tournament. Can we sue? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But obviously.
I don't know. I just feel like suing is embarrassing. It's just
I agree.
As a man, whatever, figure yourself out outside of courts. When people are using courts to take money from other people, I just think it's unbecoming.
Both Daniel and Alan seem to agree that ideally the courtroom isn't the appropriate venue for deciding the rules of poker. This sentiment underscores just how crucial this debate is for the future of the game, especially as AI technology continues to evolve. The implications of integrating AI into poker strategy raise important questions about fairness and integrity that the community must address collectively, rather than leaving it to legal systems that may not fully understand the intricacies of the game. Doug pushes a little further and says legal action might be necessary because something must be done due to how much money was at stake.
Yeah.
All right, well, while that's true, sometimes it is necessary, and if you did realize afterwards your opponent was using software to beat you with this much money at stake, and they're over there running calcs to beat you in this thing for $4 million, I don't think it's like crazy unrealistic to be like, oh, my opponent used something they shouldn't have to win $4 million off of me. I'm going to try and pursue that. I'm not trying to be the nit here, guys, but at some point, right, there's some damage threshold where it's not like it's unreasonable to pursue. Yeah, I'm not even saying you should. I'm just saying it's like not right. It's not like outside the realm of
sure. And then the slippery slope is, who do you file it against? Are you filing against the player itself, or are you going to file it against the operator, or both? Right? For the operator, supposedly, quote unquote, allowed it to happen, or it happened under their watch, and nothing was done from that perspective, or the players themselves, like. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't go that way.
Alan Keating gives his perspective as well, drawing from his firsthand experiences at the 2024 World Series of Poker main event. His unique viewpoint not only sheds light on the events as they unfolded, but also highlights the broader impact this scandal has had on the poker community. Let's hear what Alan has to say about the incident and its implications for the future of the game.
Opinion on what he saw.
We saw the laptop on the side of the table. People were looking at each other like, isn't that cheating? Like, is someone gonna jump in? Like, what's going on here? Is this the direction? Like if I made the final table, would I be going against that stuff? Or what dream is alive for tournament players now? It felt like, okay, if you don't have a big stack, these situations aren't very complex, and if it's just all in or fold or something like that, then it looked like the computer's playing poker for them. I think the course of action is to push to these tournaments and say, we need a rule change here. These things need to be banned, and no ifs, ands, or buts. Everyone needs to get on board with this.
So both Daniel Negreanu and Alan Keating believe it's crucial for the experts, the World Series of Poker, and the rule makers to step up and take responsibility for maintaining the integrity of the game. They emphasize that it's not just about addressing the current scandal, it's about implementing proactive measures and clearer guidelines to prevent any similar incidents from occurring in the future. This collective effort is essential to ensure that players can compete on a level playing field, and that the spirit of the game remains intact as poker navigates the challenges posed by technology. The future of poker depends on their commitment to safeguarding its values. So what actually needs to be changed about the World Series of Poker rules? Don't worry, Daniel Negreanu has a plan.
Yeah, I would say though that so here's the thing, rather than quote unquote rule change, more aggressive enforcement of rules that already exist. Even Nevada Gaming have rules against this sort of thing. They're specifically more geared towards like casino games. Like, you can't use any sort of aid in blackjack or craps, but it does extend to poker too. And there is wording and there is language in there that says you cannot use anything like this. The floor staff, before the tournaments flat out said, you can't be using this stuff. There's some, again, I think the thing to focus on now that we have to do going forward, to your point, Alan, is like, make these rules as clear as possible. I think something to the effect of, no use of solvers at any point in the tournament area, which is defined by the entire room. And any use of this could lead to a disqualification. And then when you put in like use of solver, that includes, getting text messages or information from somebody using one and relaying that to you, right? Because you're going to have guys that are saying loopholes. Well, Jonathan didn't do any solve. Jonathan wasn't doing anything. He was just looking at what was.
By advocating for clearer definitions and stricter enforcement, Daniel emphasizes the need for transparency in the regulations governing play. He believes that taking these steps will not only help players navigate the evolving landscape of poker, but also reinforce the integrity of the tournament. This proactive approach could serve as a crucial foundation for maintaining trust within the community as the game continues to adapt. Daniel makes a point that's so deep it would appear even Alan Keating didn't realize the impact AI solvers have on the pre-flop action.
Right? And on that point too, I think it's important for people to differentiate, like, whether if he's looking at hands that were already played and they're who cares? Like, that's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Getting the solve for a hand that was played before doesn't necessarily help you for the ones going forward. The issue is the real-time assistant, if you will, is when the next hand's about to be dealt and you've just been spoon-fed ranges that came from a computer that tell you, and they're basically what they're going to do is poker, Hold'em has 4 streets, right? So you're essentially eliminating one in terms of potentially making any mistakes at all. You're literally basically saying, if I know what I'm doing here, I will never make a mistake pre-flop. You'll have to get me flop, turn, and river. Wow. And right, so from that perspective, like, there's no question. I don't think anyone in the community looks at this and thinks, yeah, this should be fine. Most importantly, too, when you look at online poker, right? This is why I'm like, how did you not? It's prohibited. You cannot use these tools legally online. You're not supposed to, you're not allowed. So why would they think or assume that you could do this in a live arena? I guess probably, frankly, because the rules were not written out as clearly as they should be. And no one's...
Daniel explains how the pre-flop action is essentially eliminated when a poker solver is being used. This revelation underscores the urgency of addressing how technology is changing the dynamics of poker, emphasizing that players must be aware of these shifts to adapt effectively. Remember, Daniel doesn't believe the core rules of poker are the problem. Rather, he identifies a single issue with how those rules are enforced. He argues that a lack of consistent enforcement can lead to confusion and undermine the integrity of the game. For Daniel, it's crucial that the World Series of Poker and other governing bodies take a firmer stance on upholding the rules, ensuring that players understand the consequences of their actions.
So, like, part of the enforcement has to come from players sort of ratting out other players, and then having rules that are so severe and so significant that minimal edge Doug talked about, maybe 100K, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to take that risk and potentially...
So what should the punishment be if a player is found to be using an AI poker solver? Alan Keating shares his perspective on the matter, suggesting that the consequences need to be substantial enough to deter future violations. His insights spark an important discussion about how the poker community can balance innovation with fair play, ensuring that the spirit of the game remains intact as technology continues to evolve.
And ironically considered.
I mean, a 2-round penalty is kind of a slap on the wrist. What do you lose, like 3 big blinds? You know, I think it's
a big one. It's big. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of equity.
Good. It should be a lot.
It becomes a slippery slope. So, like, I believe, the best approach personally is just to have a harsh rule on none of this stuff being open at any point in a tournament area. And if you're caught as a spectator, you're removed from the place. And if you're caught as a player, you face penalty of, what Alan said, which is 2 rounds or potentially, a full DQ.
I like that we're going to go with Alan's take on what the tournament penalty. All right, we came together.
I am not.
And Alan has spoken. It will be a 2-orbit penalty moving forward.
I kind of like it, actually, because it is brutal. Like,
it should be brutal.
I said that originally. If you have 13 bigs and you have to go through 2 lives, now you have 8. That's like pretty bad. So, if you want to look at your, your push or fold charts like under the gun, realize that you might just have to.
Switching to a lighter topic, Alan, Doug, and Daniel dive into a fun debate about players wearing sunglasses at the table. Each of them shares their personal opinions, with Daniel suggesting that it's a way for players to hide their tells. Doug, always the provocateur, challenges the group by asking if sunglasses give players an unfair psychological advantage. Their lively banter brings home some much-needed humor to the conversation. While poker can be serious, it also has its lighter, more entertaining moments.
I mean, I'll tell you, in like my friend group or something like that, if someone came and sat down and put sunglasses on, we'd all make fun of them, like, until he took them off. We'd be like, no, really, you can't wear sunglasses. This is ridiculous. If you're going to take it that serious, like, go play over there. You know.
Personally, I would ban sunglasses completely.
Do you think sunglasses help pros or Rex more?
Yeah. The one thing it does for sure is it disconnects people from the game. You know, now it's a ghost.
Doug chimes in, noting that wearing sunglasses can actually make recreational players feel more at ease at the table. His perspective adds a thoughtful dimension to the conversation, highlighting the need for balance between the competitive nature of the game and ensuring that all players, regardless of skill level, feel welcome and comfortable at the table.
Sunglasses.
Usually when I see someone wearing sunglasses in a tournament, it's usually someone that this feels like this is their big shot and they're kind of nervous and they're worried they're going to have tells, and they're usually more recreational based, and they're usually people that are uncomfortable. And I think for any one of us three here, if we play a big pot in the main event, we're going to be fine. But for someone where like this is their big shot, they never play a tournament this big and they really want to just like not give stuff away and they're scared and like their sunglasses, like, do you really want to be like, sorry, bud? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes,
as long as it's fair for everyone, right?
You do.
Like, I would never say you
Sorry,
as a
bud.
rec can't wear them, but other people are wearing them. It's just part of the game. Like, listen, online poker, you don't have to deal with any of this physical live stuff. Live poker, you do, right? Just the way, that's just the game. Yeah.
I can get on board with that. I just think it is important to explore the other side. And I do think if we look, generally speaking, it's more Rex than pros that wear sunglasses.
Lastly, the topic of headphones at the poker table came up, and I have to say, we personally disagree with Alan on this one. We just like our cool tunes.
No headphones.
Oh, I would totally agree with that. I'm in for no headphones. I think
I'd be fine with it. Yeah.
I really do think. So first off, people will just not hear stuff, and it creates problems. I've seen that a bunch. I'm sure Daniel's seen it. I mean, you might even have seen this before. Like people,
again, it's also, you can make the same argument with the sunglasses as earphones can be considered a cheating device potentially too. Someone's speaking into your ear and telling you, like, I don't know, like, obviously, Alan, I feel like you probably deal more with this, dealing in private games and stuff like that. Like, it's a real concern. Like, you have to be careful of, anything like this. So I think some people will be annoyed by it, and push back. They just like to listen to music. They're not doing anything bad. And I think they'll just get over it. Like, we used to play poker. We used to play poker without.
It was fun before the headphones.
When I started playing poker, people didn't even use Sony Walkmans. Like, nobody had headphones, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Personally, I agree with the headphones take. I pretty much never ever wear them unless I want to listen to something very specific from a video on the phone. Related, I once said in a tweet, quote, if you play live poker regularly and find yourself wanting to use your phone, you are probably in a bad game and should leave. This upsets some people, but yeah, I think it's true. You're practically never bored in a good game. Poker is not supposed to be boring.
And this is where I'm going to lose you guys.
phones.
As I was like getting that day too, I was getting a little restless. I started doing blind bets under the gun, just a little bit of a straddle. And so I suppose my question to you is, can we allow straddles in the tournament, especially the main event?
Yeah.
I'd have to think about that because I've never really considered it.
Straddles in tournaments, let's go. It's happening.
While Alan believes that wearing headphones can create an isolated atmosphere and diminish the social aspect of the game, we argue that having our favorite tunes in the background enhances our focus and enjoyment. Music can set the mood, help manage stress during tense moments, and even boost our performance by keeping us relaxed and in the zone. So while Alan may see headphones as a barrier to camaraderie, we view them as a fun way to enhance our poker experience and keep the good vibes flowing at the table. What do you think? Do you enjoy headphones at the table? Or are they bad for the spirit of the game? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Okay, but enough about headphones and sunglasses. Let's refocus on the $10 million scandal at hand. Daniel takes a surprising stance by suggesting that Jonathan Tamayo might actually be more of a victim of circumstance rather than the villain in this situation. He argues that the pressure of high-stakes competition, combined with the rapid advancement of technology, can lead players to make questionable decisions. This perspective invites a deeper discussion about the challenges players face in navigating the fine line between strategy and ethical conduct in a game that's constantly changing.
I I want to be careful that we don't like rail this kid over the coals, Jonathan, because like for all intents and purposes, he seems like a nice guy. I genuinely don't think I think he's caught up in the moment, just doing what he's doing. His coaches are giving him stuff. Like, I don't think he was consciously thinking about the optics or anything like that.
Right.
And again, most importantly, the fact that they did it out in the open like that lends me to believe that like he didn't think anything he was doing was wrong. He just was, trying his best to win $10 million. So I don't fault him really in that regard. I wish, like, if he looks back, I would hope that he would see like how bad it looks, and take a different approach.
Daniel Negreanu has fearlessly shared his insights on the shocking scandal surrounding Jonathan Tamayo's $10 million win at the 2024 World Series of Poker. As we've unpacked Negreanu's perspectives, it's become clear that this controversy is more than just a momentary uproar. It's a pivotal event that could reshape the landscape of poker for years to come. The discussions surrounding ethical play, technology's role in the game, and the standards of enforcement highlight the urgent need for the poker community to come together and establish clear guidelines. Thanks for watching, and to stay up to date with the most legendary poker fights, biggest scandals, and sickest suckouts, make sure to like and subscribe.